Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Hi, how are you? How is everyone doing this fine Thursday? I'm doing pretty good, just chilling, living my best life, doing what I do best, still working, still have a job, all that fun stuff. So yeah, let me know what's going on. Happy New Year's. I know I've said that before, but it's a new year. That's exciting. So new year, new bad bitch Jordan, new whatever's going on, and I find this year so far has been very positive. Haven't been in too many fights, haven't had to deal with too much stuff, and kind of like water off a duck's back, as some people say, and like things haven't been phasing me, which has been great in my life. So let me know what you guys' new year so far. I know it's only been a month. Next week's my birthday. I'm turning 28, so super excited about that. Not doing anything because of COVID, but still I'm excited. So it's a big day today. If you have been watching my channel and watching my videos, you know that I've been asking, pleading, begging for people to subscribe to my channel. And once I hit 150, I was going to do a giveaway. And guess what today is? Today I have hit 153. Woo! Who's excited? I'm super excited. Again, thank you guys so much for coming out, supporting me, participating, liking, subscribing, all that fun stuff to the Thrill of Thursday channel, and making a little community about true crime, about crime that's happened here in Canada. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the giveaway right off the jump, so the anticipation does not have to keep going. So the first thing I will be doing in my giveaway is giving away one of these amazing Thriller Thursday shorts. So one of the cool things I'm going to do with these shorts is they're going to be very customizable. So I have 3 colors you can choose from if you do win. One will be red, the other will be black, and the last one will be white. So red, you can have white writing or black writing, white, red, or black writing, and then black, you can have red or white writing. So it's a Thriller Thursday. It just says Thriller Thursday right at the front here, and in the back you get to, let me just show you guys, have a customizable back, which is super cool. So this one is just like a skull, an animal skull with some flowers around it. You can choose. You can have a skull, a moth, a hand with flowers around it, a snake with flowers around it. I will give you the options and I will send you the logos and stuff that I've been working on and see if there's anything that you enjoy and you want. So remember, that will be the giveaway, which is super cool. And the other thing I'll be giving away is a beautiful candle. I'm teaming up with this company here. They also have a local shop here in my hometown. I do side work and business with this brand, and I love them. I have tons of these candles in my house. They are the shit. She makes absolutely stunning candles. They smell delicious, and I'm going to be giving away one of my favorite candles of all time, and that will be the Earl Grey tea. This shit slaps. Let me tell you, the smell of this. One of my best friends, every time I give her a gift, I give her these candles because I got her a London Fog, which is super sick. The London Fog is really good too. And she said she didn't even want to light it. She lit it a couple times and was like, I don't want to light this just because of how good it smells, and I didn't want to lose it. So I got another one for Christmas, and they're just the shit. This one I used quite a bit. Like, it's empty. And one of the cool things about the shop is if you do buy the candles from them, you can bring the candles back and you'll get a discount on your next purchase if you bring back the glass jar. So that's super cool. So those are the 2 things I will be giving away. A customized short of your choice, flowers, whatever you want on the back, and then a beautiful candle. Let me hold that up. It's so nice. They smell so good. They have tons of different scents. This one's my favorite. She made me a huge, big one for Christmas, and she added some like purple and stuff in it, and it just, I love it. I light it every night. It smells so damn good. So those are my 2 things I'll be giving away. So to be entered into the giveaway, I will be linking my Instagram down below. Also, you can get it just on my regular YouTube page. You can go and click my Instagram and it'll take you right to my Thriller Thursday Instagram page, and I'll be posting the candle and the short on there. You will have to comment, like, and share it to be entered in for the giveaway, and I will be doing a draw on the 28th, next Friday, for the winners. So get out there and plug me. Get out there, share the videos, the more people you comment and the more people you comment on my post, the more entries you'll get. So it'll be awesome, awesome, awesome. So just get ready for that. Okay, that is the giveaway. Let's get into what I'll be talking about today. Today is a good day. Today I'll be talking about my home province. I'll be talking about Nova Scotia. And something that happened there that not a lot of people talk about. So if you want to see me go from this to this, then stay tuned and I will tell you about the story about the Halifax Harbour explosion that happened in Nova Scotia. Let's get into it. So today's story, we'll be talking about the Halifax Harbour explosion. Please do not come for me in the comments below about how I do pronounce harbour. I will beat you, I will find you, and I will come for you. So we're going to talk about the explosion and that no one talks about here in Canada because no one seems to care about. Also, I will be trying my hardest to show you guys my products I'll be using on my face so I don't have to list them all below. So the first one I'm going in with is the Marshmallow Primer. It smells amazing. It smells like marshmallows, I tell you. It's sick, it's good, it smells delicious. And I've been finding it keeps my makeup on very well and my skin has been actually great. I've been really trying to like do some skincare routine, make sure that I look great, but it's actually, I just the rosacea on my skin and like my scarred skin from my scarred acne when I was younger. Other than that, it's been good. So we're gonna get into the story. So Dartmouth lies on the east shore of Halifax Harbour. Halifax is on the west shore. By 1971, Halifax Inner Harbour became the principal point for merchants' convoys leaving for Britain and France. So it was a pretty bopping place back then. And everybody really, you know, that's where everything came and went and where everybody went to drop off stuff and pick up people, where most of the people went in and out for wars. And it was the place to be. The other thing I'm dipping into now is my NARS Pop Concealer in the whitest shade possible, because I'm a white bitch. And this stuff, I just put it on my acne to cover it up. So like I was saying, it's the convoy leaving for kind of the main central hub, going in with the true skin. So Halifax and Dartmouth were thriving during this time just because, like I said, it was the bee's knees. Everybody wanted to be in Halifax or anywhere like that for the trading times and the war times, and it was just the place to be. So the Inner Railway wasn't built at the time, and the Deepwater Terminal wasn't built but in 1888, they allowed the increase of ships and stuff once it did get built. So they did ship trades and led to development of the port area. So it was getting even crazier. But Halifax did face an economical downturn in the oh my god, I keep saying 19 because 1890s, it seems like it was forever ago. So in the 1890s, as the local factories struggled to compete with businesses in central Canada. So it, like, think about it, Halifax and Nova Scotia are very, very small, and they could not keep up with the supply and demand at the time. So they were starting to struggle, and it was showing. The British left the city in the late 1905s and early 1906. The Canadian government took over the Halifax dockyard from the Royal Navy. This dockyard later became the common central for the Royal Canadian Navy upon its being founded in the 1910. So Canada was like, we're gonna take this over and we're just gonna like use it more for, you know, the Navy and stuff like that. Which, if you've ever been to Halifax and you've gone downtown, you can tell, like, it's full of Navy ships. So just before the First World War, the Canadian government began to determine the costly efforts of developing the harbor and the waterfront facilities. They're like, they saw what it could have been, and they're like, okay, we need to, you know, break the bank and actually, you know, build some shit here. The outbreak of the war brought Halifax back to its thriving little community, as the Royal Canadian Navy had virtually no seaworthy ships of its own. The Royal Navy assumed responsibility for maintaining the Atlantic trade routes and readopting the Halifax as the North America base of operation. So they're like, we need to reopen this. We can't just be like chilling. And if you think about it, like coming from England and Britain and stuff to get to the States, Halifax is a very good spot to stop to do that, instead of, you know, like coming from up here and then having to go here. You can kind of just, you know, do that and not be on the sea. So if that makes sense, if anyone could figure out what I was doing with my hands, this is like Britain and England, this is Halifax, and this is the States. Go here instead of like going there. That's all I was doing. Hope you guys got that from my finger diagram. So that's what they're doing. Like, we need to reopen it. We need to make it a central base. And in 1915, the management of the Harbour fell under the control of the Royal Canadian Navy again. And by 1970, they were a growth of Navy fleets in Halifax, including ships, tugboats, minesweepers, all kinds of stuff. Population began to boom. They were like, okay, now we see the need for this area. Let's move. So everyone started moving in. So the population increased between 60,000 to 65,000 people by 1970s. Convoys carrying men, animals, and supplies to Europe were threatened by the war. The two main points of departure in Nova Scotia were Sydney, off the Cape Breton Island, and Halifax. So Cape Breton is where my dad's from, just a fun fact. The hospital ships brought wounded people to the city, and a new military hospital was constructed. So they started really seeing how beneficial it was to have this harbor, and they started building things. It was like just the central hub was the harbor, and then they started to expand so much more just because they needed it, and they realized that this thing was successful and they could grow such a big town around. I forgot how great this stuff is. I haven't been using it for a while, but I really like it. It is like your skin, but better. And my skin's been great lately, so shout out to me. Now I'm going in with the Maybelline Full Wear. All right, so the convoys departed under the protection of the British cruisers, and, you know, just started. England always had a part in Canadian history, so they kind of fell underneath there. Britain was using the harbor. Everyone was happy. It was just a great, great place. A large army protected the city with fronts, gun batteries, and anti-submarine nets. So like they had tons of shit all over the place, making sure no one could get in. These factors drove major military, industrial, and residential expansions to the city because it had so much safety around it. And the weight of goods passing through the harbor increased nearly ninefold. So like it picked up. All natural ships bound for port in North America were required to report to Halifax for inspection. Another cool thing is where I'm from is Pictou, that they had a customs house, which is now a hotel. And it was one of the places where people would come through to do customs. And it's such a beautiful hotel and such a beautiful kind of spot. It's right by the Pictou Harbour, which is not really close to Halifax, but still kind of a cool thing. So the Norwegian ship SS IMO had sailed from the Netherlands and routed to New York to take on relief supplies for the Belgium under the command of Håkon Form. The ship arrived to Halifax on December 3rd for a natural inspection and spent 2 days in the Bedford's Basin awaiting refueling supplies. So, you know, just the use. It's like, you know, we're just here, about to go see some people, pick up some shit, because this is World War I, remember, everyone's at battle with each other, and like, this wasn't just a quick little trip, right? Wasn't like they're like, oh, we just rolled up. They've been on sea for quite a while, so they're just hanging out, living the best lives, doing what they do best, and just kind of waiting. Though she had been given clearance to leave the port on December 5th, departure was delayed because her cold load did not arrive until late that afternoon. The loading of the fuel was not completed until the anti-submarine nets had been raised for the night. So that means no one can kind of come or go, just because, you know, they don't want anyone sneaking in there with the submarines, which is always a threat. You never know when you're going to stumble across the submarine, right? So they just kind of waited, and the things are up. The loading of the fuel was just they still raided, and therefore the vessel could not depart until the next morning. So they're chilling. A French cargo ship, SS, they all start with SS, which isn't like the SS, the soldiers that killed everyone, so that's a weird way that you would name them all that. Mont Blanc arrived from New York on December 5th under the command of Emile Métis. Nailed that. The vessel was fully loaded with explosives, TNTs, a bunch of highly flammable fuel, benzol, and a bunch of other shit. It was this particular ship. Now I'm going in with the e.l.f. Putty Blush. I love this stuff. Do you guys like this stuff? I love it. I used to not be a big cream person, cream blushes, shit like that, but she is it. Look at the pigmentation. Yes, queen. I might have put too much on. We will see. So she intended, the ship that came in late, damn, I did put too much on. We will blend and blend and blend. So she did intend to depart for Europe, but was too late to enter the harbor before the nets were risen. The ships carrying dangerous cargo, like this ship were not allowed to enter the harbor before the war, but risks posed to German submarines, because they were all over, they're hunting down Nova Scotia, right? Resulted in a relaxation of the regulations. So people were like, you know, you're not allowed in, but you're probably going to be shut down. So by the Germans, and everyone hated the Germans. So they navigated into Bedford, required passes through a straight kind of narrow canal called the Narrows. Ships were expected to keep close to the sides of the canal on their starboard. So that's the right side. I didn't know that either. And pass it on coming port to port. It is to keep them on their left sides. Ships restricted to 5 knots, which is 9.3 kilometers an hour within the harbor. So they could come in, but they had like quite a tight little passageway. So they did get clearance to leave, and with signals from the guard ship from the HMCs at approximately 7:30 a.m. on the morning of December 6th. With pilot William Hayes on board, the ship entered the Narrows well above the harbor speed limit in an attempt to make up the delayed experience in loading the coal. So this is how it always happens. It's like, I lost time, I need to get there now, so I'm just gonna speed my way through this shit and nothing's gonna happen. You die. Everyone dies during this. No one just like, it never just comes so nicely like, oh, if I just, cut some corners, we'll be okay. And then everyone's dead. And you're dead. And the ship blew up. So stop that. They do say speeding kills. So stop speeding. So the pilot agreed to pass starboard to starboard. Soon after, the IMO was forced to head even further towards the Dartmouth shore after passing a tugboat, Stella Maris, which was traveling up the harbor. I think I got it almost blended all out. Which was traveling up the harbor to Bedford Bisson near the mid-channel. The captain of Stella Maris saw IMO approaching at excessive speed and ordered his ship closer to the western shore to avoid the accident. This guy's like, let me get the fuck out of the way of this thing, right? This guy is crazy. Also, has anyone been watching Euphoria? If you have, let me know your thoughts. I'm going to do a Euphoria themed makeup today. So glitter, sparkle, glam. So France McKay, an experienced harbor pilot, had boarded Mont Blanc on the evening of December 5th. Fit me in fair, because I'm like I said earlier, a pale bitch. This stuff gets everywhere. I got one of those, I ordered a bunch of those like press powders because everyone's been like raging over them and saying like they're like the new thing. I find makeup trends go in and out. Everyone's like, oh, you need a beauty blender. No, we'll go back to brushes. Just use your fingers. It's like, and now they're like, don't use those press pads. Those are bad. Now use the press pads when you apply your powder. So it's like, it keeps going back and forth. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that. Let me know. So he was an experienced pilot for the Harbour. He boarded it on December 5th, 1917. He had asked about a special patron such as the God ship given that Mont Blanc cargo, but no protection was given. He's like, yo, can we have like a ship that like kind of like guides us out of here, because like we got a ton of stuff back here that's ready to explode. And everyone's like, no, you're good. So it's like, okay, we'll just speed through this shit, you know how it is. So they said, no, we're not going to give you any protection. So the Mont Blanc started moving at 7:30 a.m. December 6th, which was the second ship to enter the harbor as the anti-submarine nets began to be taken away. George Island and Pier 21 opened for the morning. So they started removing the anti-submarine things, whatever they are, just like a giant fishnet or some shit like that. I don't even know what those things look like. I'm going to put a picture here if I find one. If I find one, a picture's going here about what these submarine nets, because all I picture is just an old school fishing net. Just big. I don't think that's what it is. So they were the second ones in there, all that fun stuff. So the Mont Blanc headed towards the Bedford Basin on the Dartmouth side of the harbour. Mackay kept his eyes on the ferry traffic behind Halifax and Dartmouth on the other smaller boats in the area. His force spotted the IMO was when she was about 1.2 kilometers away from becoming right in the pathway of the ship. The ship signaled and whistled, indicated that he had the right of way, but was met with 2 short blasts from the IMO, indicating that the approaching vessel did not yield its position. He's like, the guy's like, hey, you know, blinky lights, it's my right of way. And the IMO was like, you can fuck yourself. We making a way through here. We were already short time. We ain't stopping for no one. The captain ordered Mont LeBlanc to halt her engines and angle slightly to starboard because he ain't stopping. Close to the Dartmouth side of the Narrows, he let out another signal blast and a whistle, hoping other vessels would likewise move to starboard, but was again met with a double blast. So he's like, yo, can you guys like fuck off and like listen to what we're supposed to do? And this guy's like, nope, we will do what we want and kill people. Well, I didn't think they probably wanted to kill people, but why not? So sailors on the nearby ships heard the sirens of signals and realized the collision was going to happen. Gatherers to watch as the IMO bore down on the Monte Block. They're like, this shit's gonna be crazy. I got the tiniest nose. They're like, yeah, this is gonna be nuts. So let's watch. Let's find out. Let's figure this out together. So everyone was pumped. Everyone's like, gonna be a collision. You know when like, there was like a fire? That's what people were like. I thought I brought out my bronzer, but I guess I didn't. So at this point, both ships cut their engines by this point. Oh my god, that's like when you're trying to get the word count on your essay. By this point, both ships cut their engines by this point. But they cut their engines, they said, we're just gonna float this in. So the moment carried them towards each other, it was like, you know, it didn't really matter. They're gonna hit was kind of what was happening. The momentum carried them forward each other in a slow speed. So it was like, it was a slow burn at this point. It was they're gonna hit, but you know, it took a while kind of thing. So it was like, yeah, it just took, he couldn't look away. It took him forever. Unable to ground his ship for the fear of shock that would set off the explosion of the cargo, Mackay ordered Mont Blanc to steer hard to port, trying to get them to not. He's like, if we hit, we fucked. We got a thing full of explosions. We're done. Stuff's gonna happen, right? And they were trying to be like, hey, go port, and cross the bow of the IMO in the last second to avoid the collision. They're like, this is what we're gonna have to do. The two ships were almost parallel to each other when the IMO suddenly set out a third signal blast, indicating the ship was reversing its engines. The combination of the cargo ship height and the water thrusted of her right hand propeller caused the ship's head to swing into the motor block. The IMO's power pushed into the number 1 hold of the Mount Blanc on her starboard side. So he's like, we reversed it out of here, but when he did that, it moved the momentum of the boat, and it kind of, you know, they were doing really well. They're like, oh, we missed. So like this. So like, oh, we missed each other. And he's like, actually, I'm gonna reverse. Boom, smashed into the bay. So the collision occurred around 8:45 a.m. The damage to the Mont Blanc was not severe, but the barrels on the deck cargo toppled and broke open. This flooded the deck with benzol and quickly flowed into the holes that they had other flammable material into. The AMO engines kicked in and kind of engaged when this happened. And when this happened, it created a spark inside the Mont Blanc's hull. This ignited the fumes, the vapors from the benzol. A fire started at the water line and traveled quickly up the side of the ship, surrounded by thick black smoke. And fearing she would explode almost immediately, the captain ordered the crew to abandon ship. He's like, get the fuck out, we done. Like, this is not gonna end well for us. So he instantly said, abandon ship. So everyone's jumping over the edge, all that stuff. A growing number of Halifax citizens gathered on the streets or stood at the windows of their homes or businesses to watch the fire. Everyone's like, oh, they actually hit and it actually did some damage. I just used this. I thought this would be like the perfect stuff for like a euphoria vibe, but it's just not coming up. It's sparkly now, you might see the sparkles, but it's just not coming up on my face. So now I'm gonna move into the glitter here of the Jeffree Star glitter, because this always comes, and I want that vibe, you know. So everyone was watching. Everyone's like, this is gonna be sick. There's a fire going. I remember when our theater burnt down in Hinton. Everybody was out there. I was supposed to go see Harry Potter that day. I remember that so well. I was supposed to go see Harry Potter. I walked down from my parents' house and I was like, Harry Potter time. The theater was on fire, so I didn't get to watch that Harry Potter that day, and I was pissed. So everyone's gathering. Everyone's like, oh, this is gonna be kind of cool to watch. The frantic crew of the Mont Blanc shouted from their 2 lifeboats to some of the other vessels that were in the ship that the ship was about to explode. They're like, run, run, it's gonna explode, but they could not hear them above the noise and the confusion of what was going on. As the lifeboats made their way across the harbor to the Dartmouth shores, the abandoned ship continued to drift and like kind of breach herself into Pier 6 near the foot of Richmond Street. So these guys are dipping as hard as they possibly can. They're like, we don't want to die in this explosion, and they're telling people run, but everyone's like, no, but look at that, look at the fireworks. I think I'm gonna do purple today, some purple stuff. What do you guys think? I think that's what I'm gonna do, is purple, because I like purple and it kind of gives me like the euphoria vibe. But again, I try a lot with this stuff, and then I find like the colors in this palette, and then I find they never look like the colors on the in the tray. They always look something else. So I'm gonna go in with just a taupe for now, a nice taupe, which will probably come out red or something, a nice taupey color. So the Stella Maris responded immediately to the fire, anchoring their barges and steaming back towards Pier 6 to spray the burning ship with the fire hose. The tug captain, Horton H. Brannan, and his crew realized the fire was too intense for their single hose and backed off the burning Mont Blanc. So these guys realized that their little boat is not going to work, the one hoses, so they're like, hey, we're going out. We're not going to leave. Captain Brannan and Albert Madison of the Noble agreed to secure a line to the French ship's steer as it pulled it away from the pier to avoid setting it on fire. So they're like, hey, we're gonna have to do some maneuvering just to see if we can get this, you know, a little bit in control, not too much, but as much as we can, and we don't want the pier to burn down. So that was kind of what they were thinking that they wanted to do. The 5-inch hawser immediately proceeded, was deemed too small in order, so they needed a 10-incher, and they came down. It was at this point that the blast occurred. So they went and they're like, hey, we need to get the hoses, we need to get the tug. They grabbed the wrong size and they're like, hey, we'll go back. And as they were leaving to go get the other stuff, the explosion occurred. So at 9:04 a.m., the out-of-control fire on the board of Mount Blanc set off her cargo of high explosives. The ship was completely blown apart and the powerful blast radiated away from the explosion at more than 1,000 meters per second. Temperatures of over 500 Celsius or 5,000 Celsius or 9,000 Fahrenheit, and pressures of thousands of atmospheric at the moment of the explosion happened. White hot shards of iron flew down upon Halifax and Dartmouth. The Mont Blanc forward 9mm guns landed approximately 5.6 kilometers north of the explosion near the Harbour Lake in Dartmouth, with its barrel melted away, and the shake of the Mont Blanc anchor weighed half a ton landed 3.2 kilometers south. So it blasted and it shot things. Things went, like I said, like a huge anchor weighing over a ton made it 3 kilometers away, and the rest of the guns made it, like everything was shooting around iron. If you were even remotely close to this, you would die. A cloud of white smoke erupted. People were going crazy. That's right, I'm licking my brush. I said purple, didn't I? Let's try this. Do you see that purple? They say no. So a cloud of white smoke kind of rose to at least 360 meters. The blast was felt as far away as Cape Breton, which is a distance away from Halifax, almost on the opposite side, and Prince Edward Island, and an area of over 160 acres was completely destroyed by the explosion. The harbour floor was exploded by the volume of water that was displaced. Tsunami was formed by the water surging in to fill the void. It rose as high as 18 meters. So things were getting real fast. Like, because of this explosion, it just released a catastrophic event. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a tsunami formed, the harbour was no more, it went nuts. It went nuts. So the tsunami came in, wiped out some shit. This thing came in, wiped out some shit. So above the high water mark on the Halifax side of the harbour, the tsunami hit. The IMO was carried onto the shore of Dartmouth by the tsunami. The blast killed all but one of the whalers, everyone on the shore, and 21 of the 26 men on the Stella Marie also died. So it killed as many people as it wanted. It said it wasn't going to hold back. This part right here is making me mad. Right here. I'm going to buff that out, I think. But it killed everyone it possibly could, except for a couple people. So the men on the Stella Marie all died. She ended up on the Dartmouth shore, severely damaged, and the captain's son's first mate, Walter Brennan, who had been thrown into the hold of the blast, survived, as did 4 others. All but one of the Montauk Blue crew members survived. So, like I said, it just came in and just destroyed so much stuff. Over 1,600 people were killed instantly and 9,000 injured, more than 600 of whom later died. 300 later died. So it killed about almost 2,000 people. That's how many people this thing killed when it exploded. 2,000 people, and no one talks about this at all. Ugh. No one talks about this in history or in school or anything. So I just wanted to put that out there, that this was probably one of the most crazy explosions that have ever happened in Canada, and no one talks about it. So just letting you know. So it killed almost 2,000 people, injured tons of people, but whatever. Every building within the 2.6 kilometers radius, over 12,000 in total, was destroyed badly and was damaged. Hundreds of people who were watching the fire from their homes were blinded from the blast waves through shattered windows in the front of them. Overturned stoves and lamps started fires throughout Halifax. North End, where entire city blocks burned, trapping residents inside their houses. Firefighters Billy Wells, who was thrown away from the explosion, had his clothes torn from his body, describing the devastation survivor's face. The sight was awful, from people hanging out the windows dead. He said people, like, it was chaos. It was chaos for everyone. So this guy was saying, like, wow, like, it was chaos among everyone when this explosion went off. He said that some of the people that he saw hanging from the telephone poles and stuff were dead. They were beheaded. The sight was awful. He was the only member of the 8 crew of the fire engine brigade to survive. A large brick and stone factories near Pier 6, such as the sugar refinery, disappeared into unrecognizable heaps of rubble, killing most of their workers. The Nova Scotia cotton mill, located 1.5 kilometers from the blast, was destroyed by fires and collapsed of its concrete floors. The Royal Navy College of Canada building was badly damaged, and severe cabinets and structural damage. So anything near it was damaged to the point of no return. So it was bad overall for everyone. So like I said, it was horrible. It killed so many people. It ruined so many people's lives. Everyone just assumed it was just going to be a nice, 2 ships hitting each other, but it destroyed so many people and so many people's lives and everything like that. It was just horrible. So bad. So like I said, the Royal Navy College of Canada was destroyed. The Richmond railway yards and the station were destroyed, killing 55 railway workers and destroying and damaging over 500 railway carts. And the North Street station, one of the busiest in Canada, was badly damaged. So the death toll could have been, let me just move my camera. So the death toll could have been way worse had it been for the self-sacrifice of the railway dispatch, Patrick Vincent Coleman, operating the railway about 230 meters from the Pier 6, where the explosion occurred. He and his co-workers, William Lovett, learned of the dangerous cargo aboard the burning Monte Block from the sailor and began to flee. Coleman remembered that an incoming passenger train from St. John's, New Brunswick, was due to arrive at the railway within minutes. He returned to his post alone, continued to send out urgent telegraphic messages to stop trains, and the message had been reported among them. This happened also with the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic. Hold up to the train. They told people not to come. Stop, there's something going on. And due to this, the train halted. It was heard by other stations all along the railway, helping railway officers to respond immediately. Passenger train number 10, the overnight train from St. John's, is to believe to have warned and stopped the safe distance from the blast of the Rocky Hammer, saving lives. About 300 railway passengers. Coleman was killed in his post, though. But he saved so many people's lives. I'm trying to find a really nice shimmery, glittery thing I can put on my eye to really, like, make it look even cooler. Does that look cool? No, probably not, but we'll see. I'm going to put some really dark eyeliner on too to really make it go crazy. Fire rescue efforts came from neighbors, just anyone that was around at this point. Surviving neighbors, co-workers who pulled and dug out victims from the buildings. The initial informed response was soon joined by surviving policemen, firefighters, military personnel who began to arrive, as did anyone with walking vehicles, cars, trucks, and delivery wagons from all kinds were enlisted to collect the wounded. A flood of victims soon began to arrive at the city's hospitals, which was quickly overwhelmed. The new military hospital, Capitol Hill, added approximately 14,000 victims on December 6th. So it became a little too much for people to handle at this point. Make this look a little bit thicker, a little bit more dense. So things just started to, you know, become overwhelming for nurses and stuff, and they needed help. But, you know, we kind of see that today with COVID, but no one's helping them. Firefighters were among the first to respond to the disaster, rushing to the Monty block, attempting to extinguish the blast before the explosion occurred. They also played a role after the blast, with fire companies arriving to assist from across Halifax. So people heard of the explosion, people sent people out. Like, Halifax, Nova Scotia isn't that big, so I can see that, you know, people could get there pretty easily and pretty quickly if needed. So they were trying to put away the fire. At the end of the day, from as far away as Antigonish, people also came from New Brunswick on trains. Halifax Fire Department West Street Station 2 was the first to arrive at Pier 6 with the crew of the Patriots. The first motorized fire engine in Canada. In the final moments before the explosion, hoses were being unrolled at the fire spear at the docks. 9 members of the Halifax Fire Department lost their lives performing their duties. So, you know, they were there to help. They were there to push forward. They were trying to get people out safe. They were trying to get as many people out safe as they possibly could. They just wanted people to, you know, not die, and they just wanted to put the fire out. But unfortunately, with those type of jobs, you could lose your life. I'm putting a shit ton of glitter on my eyes now. I think I put too much. I think I put too much glitter. I did put too much glitter. She's trying to abort her mission as quick as possible. Let's add some of this. I'm about to fuck this look right up. Just give me a second. I'm gonna put some eyeliner on and see if I can save it. There was a shit ton of glitter on my eyes. So relief efforts were hampered the following day by a blizzard that blanketed Halifax with 16 inches of snow. Train routes for other parts of Canada and from the United States were stalled due to the snowdrift. The telegraph lines had been harshly repaired following the explosions, were again knocked down. So the exact number by the disaster is unknown. The Halifax Explosions Remembrance book, the official database of the Nova Scotia Archives and Records of Management, identifies about 1782 victims. As many as 1,600 people were killed immediately in the blast, the tsunami, and the collapsing of the buildings. The last body, a caretaker killed in the grounds, was the last person that they kind of really said, you know, was the last person they found that died. So I am fucking this look up. You know when you like really fuck something up and you think, you know what would look even better? Adding more shit to my eyes. So that's what I'm doing. So the caretaker killed in the grounds was not recovered until the summer of 1919. An additional 9,000 were injured. 16 homes were destroyed in the explosion and fires. Another 12,000 damaged. Roughly 6,000 people were left homeless, and 25 had insignificant shelter. The city industrial sector was a large part gone, and many workers among the casualties, and the dock yards heavily damaged. So tons of shit. I'm gonna put some lashes on, then my lips. So I got my lashes on, they make everything better, and now I'm gonna move on to just a natural nude little lippy lip kind of thing going on with my face. Because I hate my eyes. I usually like my eyes with purple on them, but not today. So, like I said, like the unknown number, it was catastrophic what happened, the collapsing of buildings, the last body that they found, so many people, the casualties, the dead bodies, all that stuff. So a committee was held and was quickly formed by the Halifax City Hall. And on the morning of the disaster, the Road School in Halifax West End was chosen as the central morgue, so that's where all the dead bodies went. The company of the Royal Canadian Engineer converted a basement of the school was a morgue and a classroom to serve as office for the Halifax coroner until they could find a proper spot. The basement of the school, like I said, the truck and the wagons soon began to arrive with bodies. The coroner took over the Codewell as the morgue and went into operations and implementing the systems to carefully number and describe bodies. It was based on the system developed by his father, who identified the Titanic dead bodies. So that's kind of cool how he based everything off of that, my opinion. So a lot of the people who were wounded by the blast were permanently disabled or couldn't see, or, you know, permanently had poor eyesight just because they were standing by the windows when the blast went off. Now I'm going in with the Maybelline. Is it Maybelline? Yeah, the Maybelline pens. I love these. They're like your lips, but better. But don't buy the red one. This one is absolutely horrible. It's the worst thing I've ever used in my life. Just so you know. So a lot of them are wounded by flying glass or by the flash of the explosion. So a lot of them couldn't see. Thousands of people had stopped to watch the boarding ship at the harbour. Many from the inside of buildings, leaving them the direct path of the flying glass fragments from the shattered windows. Roughly 5,900 eye injuries were reported, and 41 people lost their sight permanently. So this was a huge problem that Halifax was facing too at the time of all this. An estimated of 35 million in damage resulted, which would have been $607 million today. And about $30 million in financial aid was raised by various sources, including 18 million from the federal government, over 4 million people from the British government, and 750 from the Commonwealth company. Halifax explosion was one of the largest artificial non-nuclear explosions. An extensive comparison of 130 major explosions by Halifax historical Jane White in 1994 concluded that the remains unchallenged in the overall magnitude as long as five were considered altogether. Numbers of casualties, force of blast, and radius of the devastation, quality of the explosion materials, and the total value property of the destroyed. For many years afterwards, the Halifax explosion was the standard by which a large blast was measured. For instance, in the report of the atomic bombing of Hiroshima, Time wrote that the explosion power of the little boy boom was 7 times the Halifax explosion. So if you could kind of get that grasp of the Hiroshima bombing, you could kind of understand how big the Halifax bombing was. So I will be back here with my final thoughts on the Halifax Harbour explosion. Alright, so I am back with my final thoughts. One, I hate my eyes. They suck. I really was enjoying my face when I was doing my makeup. And then the eyes came and I was like, let's ruin this. Let's ruin this all. So I know in Halifax now they do have a statue for the Halifax explosion down by the harbor that you can go visit. It's very beautiful. I've seen it once. It's just a very nice kind of memorial. Let me know down below if you knew about the explosion, if you knew what happened, if you knew about the story. I didn't. I was from Nova Scotia. I found out this story about probably 10 to 15 years ago, and it was still very new to me, about the explosion. So all it was one person was in a rush and didn't want to follow the rules, and it killed over 2,000 people and wiped out towns. Like, they had to rebuild Halifax and Dartmouth because of this explosion. Let me know what you think. Do you think, like, you can't punish anyone at this point because everyone died on the boat. Everyone died, exploded, and that was that. So you can't do anything but rebuild. Thousands of people died. A lot of people were permanently disabled. They were blind. They were poor. They had no shelter. They had nothing. And another fun statistic I found, which is not a fun statistic, that after a natural disaster happens, it's usually a year and a half when people start committing suicide due to the factor of the natural disaster, because when the natural disaster first hits, people are very willing to give. So money, shelter, food, whatever, people are willing to give. But a year and a half goes by, let's say the Fort McMurray fires, there's no more money. People aren't giving money to them anymore. People are still out of the houses. People are still trying to fight with insurance, all this stuff. So they're out of money, all of this. And that's usually when they decide to kill themselves, because there isn't the support there anymore from the people in the community. So I always thought that was a kind of a fun little fact about natural disasters. It's not really fun that people kill themselves, but it's just how you would think a natural disaster happens and then the person's just going to knock themselves off, right? Where they don't. So that kind of had nothing to do with this, but kind of did. Just because a couple of years later, they had a lot of influx of support and opportunities and money and stuff for them to utilize at the time, but then they didn't. You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden it's gone. And like, if you could lose a family member, you could lose all your family, but one person, all that stuff. You could lose tons of stuff. So those are kind of my thoughts. I always thought that maybe for this being this case, and the guy who bombed the airplane because he hated his wife were the two that I was like, why aren't these talked more about? These need to be talked more about. Those are the two that I always was like, well, how does no one know these stories? But let me know down below if you knew this story, if you knew anything about this, about the Halifax explosion, or if this was all new and why things happened. So I want to hear your guys' your thoughts on this. And just, yeah, let me know. Again, guys, thank you guys so much for coming out and supporting my videos and watching them every Thursday. I know I missed last week's, but I'm trying. I've been doing so well. I'm going to hopefully go a month without missing a day. So fingers crossed. Oh, I'm getting tired. Oh, damn. So remember to enter in. The link will be down below to enter in for my Thursday giveaway. Thursday giveaway. Okay? So make sure you guys like and follow. You guys follow the link down below so you guys can be entered to win. And please give this a like, a share, and subscribe so then you guys won't have to miss another Thriller Thursday. So I will be back next Thursday for you. So stay tuned. Bye.